Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our financial news. Today is April 10th, 2023. I'm Ron Jankowski with Channel 4, and my co-host is Paul Munichel with Ameriprise. Paul, you have a lot to report on. A lot of things are taking place. It's very, very difficult to even forecast where are we going with inflation and other things that are ongoing. But I do have, after your report, Ameriprise sent in the last minute news as of this morning, so I'll let you roll with it first.
Thanks, Ron. Today I thought I would talk about the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar's death, it's been greatly exaggerated. China and Russia would each like to see the U.S. dollar lose its global status due to the geopolitical and economic power it affords the U.S. Now, they've recently begun an effort to replace the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency and have convinced others, including India, Brazil, and Saudi Arabia, to at least study the possibility. However, neither, it seems, want to assume the role. A greater role for the yuan would very likely increase its value, and this would stand in contrast to China's long-held efforts to keep the yuan's value relatively low as to benefit its position in the export markets. The country also implements capital controls, and its central bank is not considered to be independent. Now, the Russian ruble, meanwhile, is generally not a consideration given its poor economic state. It's less than independent central bank, and it's more than intermittent bouts of elevated inflation. Russian inflation is currently positive 8.3%. Now, that's the Q4 2022 number according to FactSet. It has a 5-year pre-pandemic average rate of positive 6.7%. So being the world's reserve currency provides the U.S. and U.S. government certain potent advantages. However, the position also comes with costs, primarily the cost of a more expensive currency, which makes U.S. exports more expensive on global markets and thus reduces employment on a relative basis. Further, the U.S. dollar remains well entrenched and serving the global system fairly well. We could take a look at the scoreboard. Back in April of 22, the U.S. dollar was on one side of 88% of all foreign exchange transactions globally, according to the Bank for International Settlements. Although the euro dominates in Europe, the U.S. dollar dominates trade invoicing in every other region of the world, accounting for at least 75% of the Asia Pacific and the rest of the world, and close to 100% in the Americas. Again, data according to the Federal Reserve. Now finally, in Q3 of 2022, and that's the latest available data, the US dollar accounted for 60% of global foreign currency reserves. Some fearmongers will note that this is down from the 70% levels the US dollar held in the early 2000s. But the share lost was gained by other free-floating market-based economies, primarily the euro. As of September 2022, the US dollar, the euro, the British pound, and the yen together accounted for 89% of foreign currency reserves globally.
Okay, excuse me, Paul. I'm going to give you a report as to we received this morning from Ameriprise. The U.S. stock index futures are lower this morning following a long holiday weekend and Friday's March payrolls data. Markets in Asia closed mostly higher, led by South Korea, a plus 9%, 0.9%. European markets are closed today, but finished mostly higher on Thursday's last week. Treasury yields are slightly lower after Friday's payroll data, support a soft landing with the 2-year under 4% and the 10-year at 3.35%. Any comments, Paul, on that?
I mean, there's a lot you read there. Nothing unexpected. We're a global economy, we know that, so it's interesting to see how the international markets are reacting, and maybe our market will follow form.
And the Bitcoin futures are up 2%, gold is down 0.5%, and WTI crude is up 0.2% after gaining 6.5% last week. And will you see the gas prices from that gain? That is going to be unbelievable. All the low prices that we've been experiencing this past few weeks, they're all going to go away. The year-to-date index percent returns, S&P 500 a plus 7%, Dow Jones a plus 1%, and a NASDAQ a plus 15%.
All better numbers than what you reported last week, so
Yeah.
we had a pretty strong week for the market last week.
Strong as hopefully we can maintain that in going forward. All right, thank you for staying with us. We'll be right back with our next show called Your Money. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. We're bringing our show called Your Money, and Paul's going to talk about a topic, committing to a smart financial habit. And Paul, tell us, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some general tips that can help you commit to smart financial habits, and we're going to kick right into it. You know, April is a month that often conjures thoughts of spring cleaning, and fittingly, it's also National Financial Capability Month, so a time to reflect on the state of your finances and focus on organizing them in a way that will help you achieve your goals for the future. So, today we're going to go over 5 tried and true money habits I recommend to clients at this time of the year, and also something you can recommend to look at all year long. These are also good principles to pass down to children and other dependents as they approach adulthood and become responsible for their own finances. So tip number 1, create and follow a budget. A budget is a key tool to help households improve their financial accountability and stability. It's a black and white reminder of monthly bills and the limits of household cash flow. As a rule of thumb, I recommend setting a 50-30-20 budget allocation in which you assign 50% of your income to pay fixed expenses, allow 30% for flexible spending, and reserve 20% for savings. Now, you can always modify the numbers as your income and expenses change over time. Tip number 2, use credit wisely. Loans and credit cards are financial tools that are best used carefully. My advice is to delay discretionary purchases you cannot pay for today to avoid the inevitable cost of borrowing money. In general, it's wise to keep your debt-to-income ratio below 30% to avoid unwieldy payments. A higher debt-to-income ratio will require more of your resources and make it harder to get ahead. Cap your credit card debt to 20% or less of your maximum credit limit whenever possible. And I highly recommend that borrowers review their current debt to create a payment schedule to pay it down. It's especially important to pay installment loan payments and credit card bills on time to avoid late fees and maintain a higher credit score. All right, tip number 3, save for larger purchases and emergencies. You know, I tell my clients to maintain some level of cash reserves for unexpected expenses. When life takes an unexpected turn, your savings can be a lifeline. Grow an emergency fund equivalent to 6 months to 1 year of income. If you must tap into your emergency savings, set realistic goals to rebuild your fund. Tip number 4, invest for your future. By giving your money the chance to grow, investments have the potential to help you create a more prosperous financial future. I urge clients to make maximum contributions to retirement savings accounts and take full advantage of employer match opportunities. Another best practice for investing is to build a diversified portfolio. In other words, not just stocks, but also look at bonds and real estate and other asset types. This principle of diversification can help balance risk against the volatility of any one asset class. Be sure to invest consistently, regardless of market conditions, to benefit from dollar cost averaging, which again, a lower average cost of shares. And tip number 5, take time for financial wellness. Your relationship to money matters as much as your bank balance. Detrimental financial habits often have emotional history. Identify triggers that lead to behaviors you want to change, such as overspending or neglecting bills. Pat yourself on the back for every positive step you take toward financial wellness. And one of the most treasured rewards of my work is helping my clients strengthen their financial acumen and create a safety net for their families now and in the future. If this approach appeals to you, consider seeking the advice of a qualified financial advisor who can help you work to achieve your financial goals for the future.
Paul, you mentioned financial advisor. If to achieve a proper diversification, you really should get some help and some guidance, and a financial advisor is the key. If a viewer is interested in maybe talking to you, how do they contact you?
Absolutely. If you're working with an advisor currently, that's great. But if you're looking for a second opinion or you're not working with an advisor, feel free to give me a call directly. And I am at 708-226-3412.
Thank you, Paul, for your update and your comments on your money. For Paul Munico with Ameriprise Financial, myself, Ron Jankowski with Channel 4, we wish you good investment day.